Chiang Kai Shek was born on October 31st, 1887, in Sikao Hyeyang Province, China. He died April 5th, 1975, in Taipei, Taiwan. Chinese nationalist leader Chiang Kai Shek was instrumental in the overthrow of the reigning Qing dynasty in China and the establishment of the Republic of China. One of the major figures in modern Chinese history, Chiang Kai Shek is credited with unifying China against warlordism and leading China into world prominence during World War II.
A young military officer named Chiang Kai Shek returned to revolutionary war-torn China in 1911. He had been in Japan for military training. Chiang's dream was to free his people from the oppression of China's ruling dynasty and brutal warlords. In 1925, he assumed command of the Chinese National People's Party. But within this organization, another enemy developed: the Chinese Communists, who were under direct orders from Moscow to take over the People's Party. In 1927, Chiang married Mei Ling Soong, a devout Christian and graduate of Wellesley College in the United States. 4 years later, Japan seized the Chinese territory of Manchuria and set up a puppet government. Chiang's older son entered military school along with thousands of others as Chiang built his military to defend against two enemies: the Chinese Communists and the threat of Japanese invasion. Chiang's armies fought the Communists on and off for 10 years. They were led by Mao Zedong. During that time, he steadily built up his military strength for the conflict with the Japanese he knew was certain to come. The Japanese invaded in 1937, resulting in a war that was fought for 8 long years. After that, Russian leaders decided that it was time for Mao Zedong and the Chinese Communists to openly rebel. Mao's armies were well supplied by the Soviets, and in 1949, they forced Chiang to retreat to the island of Formosa off the coast of China. Formosa was the last stronghold of Free China. However, Chiang saw to it that this retreat did not turn into a crushing defeat. Thousands of his followers accompanied him. On Formosa, which today is called Taiwan, Chiang trained 600,000 troops in preparation for a communist Chinese attack against his island. Behind him was the strength of the United States, which was bound by treaty to defend his territorial rights. Chiang built 3 separate military academies to keep his forces in top shape. He pledged that one day he would return to the Chinese mainland to re-establish his government. He seemed completely unimpressed by the overwhelming odds against such a comeback. The world still watches the island state of Taiwan. There's much at risk. On one side, the communist goal of political control. On the other, Chiang Kai Shek's legacy of freedom.
Chiang Kai Shek, a lifetime of achievements. In 1906, at the age of 19, Chiang Kai Shek began his military education in China at the Baoting Military Academy. He entered the Military State Academy in Japan in 1907, soon becoming involved in the revolutionary movement to overthrow China's ruling Qing dynasty. In 1912, following the overthrow of China's imperial government, Chiang helped establish the new Republic of China. In 1923, Chiang visited Moscow to study the Soviet political and military system. With the death of Sun Yat-sen in 1925, Chiang became commander-in-chief of the National Revolutionary Forces. A successful 1926 military campaign led by Chiang against the warlords controlling northern China helped to unify the country. By 1928, Chiang's influence and power gained him a position as chairman of the national government, a post he held until 1932, then again from 1943 to 1948. Japan invaded Manchuria in 1931. Chiang renewed his efforts to rid the country of the communists, now led by Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai. Full-scale war between China and Japan broke out in 1937. In 1942, China became one of the World War II Allied powers, and Chiang Kai Shek became the supreme commander of the Allied forces in the China theater of the war. Civil war between the Communists and the Chinese National People's Party erupted again in 1945. In the end, Chiang resigned as president of the Republic of China and withdrew to the island of Formosa, today's Taiwan. In Taiwan, Chiang Kai Shek resumed his duties as president of the Republic of China in 1950.